All right, another Jeep talk here. What's up, everybody out there in real truth land? You emotional executionees or executioners, if you're truly seeking answers from either side here. We're talking about the avoidant discard, the emotional execution. So I'm going to talk a little bit about detachment. Now, for those who are going through the experience, I'm sure you've had emotional roller coaster ride, right? Ups and downs, anger, resentment, bringing yourself back to spiritual balance with realizing that anger and resentment are normal, they're natural, they're healthy, as long as we recognize it and bring ourselves back to self, right? Remembering that the ego will survive at all costs by using resentment and anger to deviate your energy externally, right? We don't want that. Now, you're feeling maybe guilt at some point, some shame. You've been rejected, not accepted. These things stem back to childhood, right? And you emotionally attach to this person who you loved. Now, people in the spiritual world, they'll talk about this relationship in the five-dimensional, if you will. I'm not going to get deep like that tonight. But they'll talk a lot about why it is that we connect with these people and what they actually represent, despite the fact that they completely shattered your heart and acutely you felt devastating pain and agony. Which, from what I understand, these people do eventually feel when it's all said and done. The karmic retribution comes their way, right? It's the way of the universe. Now, so you've gone through these waves of emotions of maybe asking, well, was there anything else I could do? Why would they do this? Why would they do that? They were triangulating, they were doing certain things, whatever the case. Now, regardless, you've attached to this person and things end so abruptly that parts of your brain don't shut off. It's looking for some kind of closure. It's looking for something rational to grasp that says, okay, well, this didn't work. Let's go ahead and we can finalize it and we can move forward with our lives. And it's not so simple with the discard. And so you'll hear all of these like motivational speeches, right? And I've given them plenty of times to myself. As a matter of fact, I've posted a motivational speech on this video, on this channel, right? And I talk about, look, this person discarded you, they disrespected you, they did all these things. Yes, they absolutely did those things. And in the process, you've got to empower yourself in any way that you can to take steps forward, right? This is what we were talking about, moving forward despite the pain and agony that you're going through. And so you're hearing that, okay, let's learn how to detach. Detach, you've got to detach. You have to detach, you have to detach. It's not so simple as shutting it off, right? I think most people who are listening to this message actually understand what I'm talking about. You can't just detach. It's not that simple. But what you do is you learn to embrace how you're feeling and go through that period of feeling those emotions and grieving. And as you do that, I'm sure you're learning all kinds of information out there. You are connecting dots. You are collecting, downloading information, and then you are integrating it. All of it's being downloaded and you're making sense of it. And then things start to piece together over time. And it leads you down a path or up a path, whichever you prefer, of realization through introspection, through reflection. And this journey that you end up going on is going to teach you along the way, not necessarily how to detach, but to not allow yourself to become attached in the way that you did before. It teaches you responsibility of protecting the integrity of your values, your self-love, self-respect, self-dignity. Remember, self-love is abundance. It's unconditional. It's God, right? It's Christ consciousness. How to protect that so that when these things occur, you have a more intuitive vision before they even happen. And we call this setting boundaries. And you set boundaries with confidence that, hey, before I attach to this person or before I go any deeper with this person and connect with them spiritually, there are boundaries. And the person will either respect those boundaries or they're not the right person. And you become the right person for them, because eventually when they look back at the fact that they weren't willing to respect your boundaries, they'll have to look back and say, wow, that person respected themselves with boundaries enough. I could learn from that. And people will learn from that. And so the art of detaching is actually learned, and I could be wrong. Somebody tell me this. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. The art of detaching is actually the art of not becoming attached to begin with. Now, there are people out there who actually talk about this, where they say, look, I had a conversation with somebody really close to me, and this person is under the impression that when you attach to somebody and you deeply fall in love with them and you attach to that love, that you see the world through a lens that just is very expressive, it's very vivid, it's all of these things. And I have to admit, I've carried myself like that. And you do see the world differently. Whereas another person says that, look, I feel that when I can detach from things and I feel myself becoming too attached, I can center myself and love and be confident enough with myself that I can come back into the self. I don't have to rely on being attached to something to see the beauty in the world around you, to see the beauty in yourself. Now, does that sound familiar? If you are loving somebody else and you are giving that love in order to see your love for yourself, you need them for validation. Do you see where this is going? So the person has a point where they make sure that when they feel that they are attaching to an extent where they may be teetering on some kind of verge of self-sabotage, or not self-sabotage, but rather self-abandonment, they get back to the self. And there's beauty in that. It keeps you in a mindset of clarity, if you will. And it makes sense. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not suggesting that there's a right and wrong answer here. But that's essentially my thought process with all of this. Learning about detachment is understanding why it is that you attach to begin with, and learning how to manage your emotional attachments. And that doesn't just go with romantic relationships, that goes with everybody. You know, and this can go all the way back, now that I'm thinking about it, to the virtues of the Stoic and the philosophy of accepting your fate. Being the Stoic one in the family, for example, if a relative dies, you have already accepted the fact that that person's fate was death anyway. Now, you love and care and are attached to them in so many ways. It's sad, obviously, and you're going to cry if my mother were, or someone in my family were to pass away. That's not, that would be very, very, dark and deep for me and sad for me, right? But the point is that we accept one's fate, and in doing so, we can detach from those fears that we have and live in the moment. And so when you're able to detach, living in the moment is connecting with everything around you. When you go for a walk outside, you're connecting with everything, man.